Hello, it's Samovi here, and I am a mess because today we are making Kokadamas. Kokedama is also known as the poor man's bonsai. It is a moss ball that is usually very easy to care for. You can set it somewhere or hang it from a tree, and it makes a great accent piece for any windowsill or garden. So, in this bucket, I have a whole bunch of potting soil. I just bought a generic potting soil mix and water. So we're going to be mixing that all up. And I notice inside, if you want to take a peek, there is a little bit of water and a little bit of mud, but there's a little bit too much water. As you can see, it's pooling right over here. There's a little bit too much. So we're going to add a little bit more potting soil. There we go. To dry it up a little bit so that we can make a big, huge ball of mud is what we're doing. We're making mud. We're playing with mud today. So, okay, now I added a little bit too much soil because it's starting to get, you see how it's getting clumpy? Yeah, it's getting clumpy. We don't want clumpy. So, you add a little bit more water. You want it so that when you get it together, actually, that's not too entirely bad. When you get it together, you want it to stick in a ball. And you start adding a little bit more and more to your ball, like that. So we're going to kind of fast forward this so that we have a ball the size that we want it to be. Okay, so now I have my mud ball. How cute is that? Now, it's going to get messy again. You need to have a table because you need more than just your hands to shape this. So doing it just on, like a set of stairs, which is what I tried to originally do, it's not going to work. So you make a little hole, and it is going to start falling apart, and that is okay. Now, the general rule of thumb is that you want some sphagnum moss inside your little hole. I don't have any of that, but I have some peat, which is made with sphagnum. So that's going to help your roots with water consumption. So we stick that in our little hole. And then today I have both ivy and fern. So I'm going to be using both of these. I'm going to stick them together. And you get you do your best with knocking the soil off of the roots when they're in the containers that you purchase them in. I also want my ivy to kind of be leaning towards so kind of arrange them as you would like them to be in your Kokadama. And then wrap it all up, give it a nice hug. And I'm going to turn it as I hug it so that it can kind of get that shape back from being kind of cracked from me making that little hole in there with the sphagnum moss or the peat. Okay, so it's not going to be perfect because it's going to be flat on the bottom. See how it's flat on the bottom because of the table? And that's okay. We'll fix that in just a moment. Cut. So another thing that you're going to want is some sheet moss, which conveniently, I bought this from Walmart, comes in a bag. So you take it out and you just look for like foreign objects. So like I don't see too much stuff in this one. You flip it over because like obviously the green part, you want that to be on the outside. We're going to be placing our Kokadama in there. So gently take that out of our bag. It may fall apart, and that is okay because we're using this to shape our Kokadamas. So here we go. Here's a big foreign object right here. See that stick? Get rid of that stick. We don't want that stick. Now this is a little bit too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little. So back to our little friend here, kind of tucking them back in. And then I'm going to pick them up, put them on my biggest piece. And then I'm going to take some smaller pieces because this is not really going to cover him up. I'm going to kind of place it on the spots where he's going to be a little naked. And I want to try to make sure that he's kind of green all the way around. So you see how there's a big dark spot right there? Let's cover that up because he's kind of naked right there. And just keep hugging him.
Another one right there.
Yeah, we're getting another spot. So let's grab a little bit more of our sheet moss. Cover that up. Keep hugging. Your hands will turn green after this. It's okay. Now, how people usually wrap their Kokadamas. Here's another spot. They usually wrap it in something that's organic and nice. Well, gee whiz, that's great. But organic string over time is going to wear away. So hemp is one of your better decisions because hemp doesn't tend to wear out as easily over time. But if you can't find hemp string, and I did not, I was able to get some nice organic string, but I have it hooked up to this fishing pole for a reason, because this fishing pole needs to be restrung anyhow. And so there's going to be 2 strings in here. One is the fishing line and the other is the organic material. So we're going to take, getting hair in my face. I got everything in my face right now. I'm so dirty. We're going to take and we're going to leave a tail on the top because we're going to want to wrap this up so that your sheet moss sticks to your little friend. And it's after we wrap him is when we're going to be able to reshape him into the ball as opposed to the flat bottom. So we're going to wrap our string around by leaning him gently. I'm calling it a him, but it might be a her. I don't know.
Could be both.
It could be both. It could be our wonderful transgendered plant. I don't know if plants truly have a gender, but it doesn't matter. We're going to love it anyhow.
Yes.
And I think, oh yeah, I have the lock on my fishing line. Of course I do. Okay, so we're going to wrap him up with our fishing line because that is a synthetic material that will help him stay together. I got 1 string. I'm coming around. I'm going to tuck it underneath him again. And we're going to do it in tiny sections, and I kind of want to make sure I'm watching where the tail is so that it doesn't get stuck in there. And see how I'm kind of making just a little bit of room between the last wraparound? That's kind of what we want to do. So come straight across, around, wrap again, and I got some, I don't know, lint on there. So you see how they're almost, that's better, evenly spaced.
Yeah.
We want to keep that spacing throughout our wrap. And we want to keep it nice and snug also, because we don't want them to fall apart, right?
Right.
So we're going to speed this next part up so that you can kind of see it without getting bored. Okay, now once we have this wrapped around completely, whoa, big foreign object.
No more.
So we're going to start wrapping in the other direction. So take them around the other side. Use your plants as a little bit of a guide. And now we're going to wrap in the other direction so that we have that crisscross effect. And we're going to speed this up again too, just for your convenience. Okay, so we have 2 tails here. I'm going to take those tails, I'm going to tie them together. And now we are almost finished. I'm going to double knot it so that it holds it nice and tight. We can tie this into a little bow after we trim this edge. Unfortunately, I did not bring my scissors out, so this is where we can squeeze him to reshape him into that nice little circular friend that you know and love. So here is our Kokadama. I have trimmed the end thanks to my camera girl, Adia.
Hi.
And I am going to make a nice little bow. And you're not going to see this part because I have to have it facing me, but I will turn it around in just a jiff. And voila, our Kokadama. Now, how to care for your Kokadama. When your Kokadama is heavy, which it should be when you just first finished it, because of course it's going to be full of water, it's going to be a little heavier. When it weighs less, when it seems as though it doesn't seem quite as heavy, that's when you want to take it, put it in a bowl of water that's half filled with water to half of the height of the ball. And then you leave it in there for 10 minutes and your Kokadama will be fine. And I did tell you that you were going to become green after this. So that, my friends, is how you make a Kokadama. As always, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Here are some other ideas for Kokadamas that you can use. There's Wandering Jew, there's Phlox, there's several different kinds of plants you can use. I hope you enjoy.